In the previous video, I alluded to the fact that we want to try and make readable code. So this is a very important part about programming. And it's an observation that you don't necessarily see all the time. But MATLAB programs and all programs that you write are read more than you write. So someone will read code maybe 2 to 3 times more than they will write code. And so it's very important that you appreciate that, because it means that when we write code, we should actually write it in a way that's understandable for someone or yourself to read in the future. So one way of doing that is by choosing nice descriptive variable names. If I just called this D and L and A and V, yeah, it would work. It would work for this kind of problem. But if I had a big problem, then there might be lots of diameters, lots of areas, lots of volumes, in which case this wouldn't be a very nice program because it would be very difficult for me to understand. So one way of making programs easier to read is by making the variable names more descriptive. Another way of doing it is by putting in comments, and that's what I want to show now. So a comment in MATLAB is any kind of, let's say, message that you leave for yourself or for someone else in the future, and you type it into the file. So I can type in a comment here, work out the area. Actually, this belongs here, based on diameter and length. Okay, and the way that we designate a comment as opposed to just normal text or normal commands is we put in a percentage sign. So let me just demonstrate what happens when I don't put this in. So if I don't put this in, MATLAB sees this line 5, or okay, let me just delete that, line 4, as some kind of instruction, and then it tries to work out, well, what is work? Is work a variable? Is this some kind of instruction that I must execute? I don't know what is going on here. And you can kind of get the point, because the text has changed as MATLAB is trying to understand what you're writing here. So if I just were to run this now, let me save it. If I were to run it, MATLAB throws an error and it says undefined function work for input arguments of type char. So MATLAB is actually thinking that work is a function that we're trying to call with a whole bunch of parameters. And I'll explain what functions are in future videos. But the point is that this line isn't an instruction to MATLAB, it's a message to myself. So how I designate that is I put in a percentage sign. Now the text changes, so MATLAB is quite nice. It changes the color of the text for you to designate that this is a comment. But this is just a nice message for anyone reading the code to understand what I'm doing. So this line says that I want to work out the area based on a diameter and length. I could put in another comment over here to say define variables. Define dimensions of the cylinder. Okay, this is another comment because I've put in another percentage sign here. I could type in garbage. I could actually type in 1 plus 2, which might look like a command in MATLAB, but because there's a percentage sign, everything after the percentage sign isn't read by MATLAB. So MATLAB will not look at this and try execute it. It will see the percentage sign and then say, okay, this is a comment, let's move on. So now if I save this and I run it, then it's like nothing has happened. So the program is the same as the one that we created before, except now it's much easier to read. If someone were to open up this document, and someone will open up this document, or you will open up this document in the future, you might not know what is going on, and the comments are a way of finding out what is going on. So comments are a very, very, very important part of programming. It's got nothing to do with the logic or what is happening in the program. It's just a way for you to communicate the logic and the ideas inside the program as little messages. Think of this as descriptive messages to someone reading the code. So that's all I wanted to show in this video. Comments in MATLAB are designated by a percentage sign. So everything after the percentage sign is a comment. and we use comments to make messages to ourselves.